Hi, thanks for joining us for this webinar on driving successful business model innovation. My name's Pete, and today we're going to be exploring the question of why is this topic important for you and your business. We're then going to look at a set of simple and effective tools that Strategizer have developed to help explore this topic. And through a case study, I'm going to demonstrate to you how I apply these tools in my day-to-day work. And then finally, we're going to look at the next steps that you can take to assess and progress your business model. A little bit more about me. So I'm a principal consultant at DiUS, and I'm primarily focused on end-to-end product development and also innovation coaching for our clients that range from small early stage startups right up to established enterprises. And after the session today, I'll be answering questions on the DiUS community Slack channel. So if you haven't joined there already, please jump on with that link, and it'd be great to hear your questions and stories on this topic. I'll plug this again at the end of the session, but next week I'm going to be co-facilitating a workshop with Fred from Strategizer as part of the Last Anywhere conference. And while today's webinar is going to be focused more on tools and techniques that a practitioner might use, next week's workshop is going to be focused on the innovation ecosystem. So more targeted at leaders or people who work with leaders at that level. So if that sounds appealing, it'd be fantastic to see you there. So I'm going to start with this question. Can a business last forever? Now, while a business might aspire to last forever, for sure, the business model, how you generate value for your customers, is going to need to respond and evolve over time. And that's going to be due to a lot of reasons. One is that we exist in a competitive environment. There's always new businesses and competitors coming along that you're going to need to respond to. And likewise, new technologies and new ways of doing things, disruptions that you need to work with or work around. Of course, we're living through a massive shock to the system at the moment with COVID-19, and that's forcing a lot of businesses to change the way they're approaching things. And there's also a lot of positive opportunities that come up that require us to evolve our business model. So that might be some new investment or an expansion opportunity. All of these things influence the way that we create value for our customers and the way we deliver that value. So let's unpack a bit what we mean when we say a business model, and we'll do that by looking at the business model canvas, my favorite tool that breaks down a business model into the key elements, the 9 key segments. But to simplify it for a moment, let's just think about two. Let's think about the front stage and the back stage. The front stage includes your customer segments, your value proposition, and how you bring that value to your customers and generate revenue from them. And in the back stage, your key activities and resources and your partners and the costs that you incur to deliver that value. And you can really innovate in either area, whether that's looking for new business opportunities on your front stage, or looking for how can you leverage those things in your backstage to form a new business model opportunity. We talk a lot about innovation in the context of startups wanting to do a brand new business, but today we're really interested in thinking about existing businesses who have a strong backstage but need to think about how they can leverage that over time to look for new opportunities in their front stage. And we're going to explore this now through a case study of a local Australian company. I've got no connection to them, never met them, but it's a really interesting story of an organisation who was met with a shock due to COVID-19 and really have come up with an innovation to find their way through it. So just going to watch this short video, and then we'll come back and we'll explore it through the tools.
Jeremy Fleming, Managing Director of Stage Kings. We're based in Kurnell in the south of Sydney. We normally build custom stages and structures for some of the biggest events in the country. So on Friday the 13th, the government put a ban on all public gatherings, which essentially meant it was the end of our income for the foreseeable future. So after that is when we made the decision to make work from home office furniture. Whole industries were going to be working from home, people needed desks, and we thought we could come up with a good solution for that. At the time the public gathering ban was put in place, we had 23 staff working down in Melbourne on the Formula One and Ninja Warrior. We had to unfortunately lay everyone off at that time, but with this switch to work from home desks and manufacturing, we've been able in only 2 months to put on over 50 people again. In the last 2 months, we've now taken over 5,000 orders, and we've got over 30 products that we're manufacturing now. For us to switch to making work from home furniture and manufacturing has been a real lifesaver. We're now seeing the support for shopping local and Australian manufacturing coming back in a big way. So moving forward, we see there's a real opportunity to do well with this business.
What an awesome and inspiring story that was about how Stage Kings responded to the challenge in front of them. And now we're going to dive into the tools so that we can explore that a bit more. And as a quick overview, we're going to look at 5 of the strategizer tools: the value proposition canvas, the business model canvas, the portfolio map, the assumptions map, and then the test card and learning card. And we'll start with the business model canvas. And we're going to have a look at mapping the Stage Kings current or existing business model before we think about how they sought to innovate. So we think about who their customer segment was that they've been generating value for to date, and that is event organizers. And the value that they've been generating for them is these custom built stages for these big events. And how do they do that? Well, we know that they have a significant factory of plant and equipment, and they also would have, no doubt, a big crew of skilled carpenters that know how to do those designs and work all of that equipment to deliver those custom made stages. And the way that they would be making money is through large scale fees from big contracts. Imagine probably not doing thousands of those events per year, but each one of them that they do would be large contracts. And in terms of how you deliver that value to those types of customer segments is going to be through a B2B sales force. So that's going to be very relationship based, probably working with the same type of people and organizations each year as you help them deliver their events. So that gives us a high level snapshot of the key elements of the Stage Kings business model. And I just got to mention, it's the thing that I love about the business model canvas is the way each of these segments works together, and you can see how things flow and interrelate. And that's really the power of this tool and why I love using it so much. So as we heard in the video, when they were hit with the shock and this business model suddenly ground to a halt, the Stage Kings team brainstormed and thought about who's a customer segment that's going to be in need. And we're going to flip up to the value proposition canvas to explore this now. And the value proposition, the customer segment that they were looking at was the remote workers. So for those of us who are working at home, lucky enough to be able to work at home, we know that the key job that we need to get done, or we needed to get done in those early days, was to be able to fit out a home office. If you weren't already set up to work from home, that was a really important job that you needed to get done. And this may not have applied for everybody, but I know for some people, a big pain point to address in setting up a home office is having limited space. Where are you going to put a new desk and all the things that you need, especially if there's more than one person working from home? So that's a pain point that someone might encounter while fulfilling that job. And let's think about, again, something that might delight people or make them more likely to buy. And in a time like we've been going through with COVID-19, anything that gives you a feel-good boost is certainly a gain creator. So if we think about that as the customer job, the pain, the gain, how might Stage Kings address that? And we know through what they've described that they had the idea of a new product, which is home office furniture. And a way that you can address this pain point of limited space is by creating something that can flat pack and that you can pack up at the end of the day and store in an easy way that's not taking up a lot of space. And in terms of the gain creator, the fact that they're a local company and this is locally made furniture certainly provides that feel-good boost. And while this might have come later, I'm not sure, but another thing that we know from the video is that they're donating part of their proceeds to Support Act, who are supporting people from the entertainment industry who have been hit hard by COVID. So you can see how the value proposition canvas helps us understand the customer segment, the job, their pains, their gains, and then the corresponding product and the pain relievers and gain creators. So if we copy these couple of elements now and bring them down to the business model canvas where we're going to overlay them. So our new customer segment is the remote workers, and the new value proposition that we're going to deliver to them is the home office furniture. So an existing business, it's all still ongoing, but a new innovation that they're bringing to a new customer segment. So as we think about that, what are the things that are going to change? Well, one is that unlike having a B2B style relationship, selling directly to customers is going to require a direct sales channel. So that would have been definitely something new for Stage Kings to have to navigate. And to do that, a key resource would be an online store, something that they wouldn't have had to deal with, not buying custom-made stages through an online store, but certainly in the age of COVID, you'd be buying furniture through an online store. And we know a new key cost that was introduced was that donation to Support Act as part of each sale to provide that feel-good factor. And looking back on Stage King's journey that we know from their various their website and their media reports and whatnot, was the fact that the media was a very key channel for them. Really latched on to the feel-good story, and certainly how I found out about Stage Kings, and I'm sure a lot of people would have, in terms of how they were creating awareness with this new customer segment that they hadn't serviced before. So taking a step back now, you can see how we've overlaid a new potential business model innovation that Stage Kings were able to leverage these key resources that they had in terms of this factory and equipment and people who could create these things like furniture, but bring that to a new customer segment. But at this stage, let's imagine it's still just an idea in those early days of COVID, when thinking about, well, okay, how might we sell office furniture to remote workers? And so now we're going to come down and look at one of Strategizer's latest tools, which is the portfolio map, which I really love. So as you can see, there's these two sections of explore and exploit. And this is particularly relevant for an existing business like Stage Kings, because you're going to have things ongoing that you're exploiting and bringing in new innovations that you're seeking to explore. So if we pop now the home office furniture in the explore part of the portfolio map, and just going to bring down their existing stage building business, and you can see there's a different axes in each section. So in the exploit part of the portfolio map, you can see you're rating it by what's the return that you're receiving and what's the risk of death and disruption. And I would guess that the Stage Kings business was probably up here. It was a high rate of return, and no one can really predict a global pandemic. And I would have said, notwithstanding a pandemic, they would have had quite a low risk of death or disruption because of how much value they were able to deliver to their customers. If we look at the Explore portfolio, the two axes are the expected return and the innovation risk. So a new idea is going to start down here where you're not really sure what level of return to expect, and the risk is going to be high. And this is where we start to talk about what it means to do business model innovation, because it's really about how can we reduce the risk and increase our confidence that it's going to have high return. So to move our ideas and innovations from the bottom corner down here up to the top, to where we can have the confidence that it justifies that extra investment to bring it into our exploit portfolio, where it's part of our business and how we generate value. So how do we do this? Well, let's take a look now at the assumptions map. So the assumptions map really enables us to explore all the aspects of a business model and look at them through the three critical lenses of desirability, feasibility, and viability. Desirability: do customers, does the market want this? Feasibility: can we do this? Is it technically possible? Is it legally possible? And viability: should we do this? Is there enough return on investment to be able to justify doing this sustainably? And the assumptions map template here provides a whole bunch of prompt questions which are really useful to help us really challenge every aspect of our business model. And it can really apply to any part of whether it's the business model canvas or the value proposition canvas that we went through before. So let's look at bringing in some assumptions, and we're going to color code them, and we'll start with desirability. Do they want this? So the key question there is that we believe that people will buy our furniture. And a feasibility assumption is that we believe that we can build home furniture. And a viability assumption is that we can sell enough of these to have a profitable and viable business. Now, the way you'd use the assumptions map is to go through, as I said, each of the aspects of the business model and the value proposition, and draw out all of the things that you believe to be true that underpin the success of this business model. And then the next step is to rate them on these axes. So how important is it to the success of the business model on the vertical axis? And how much evidence do you already have as to whether you can do this or not? So when we think about, in Stage King's case, from what we understand on that first day, did they know that people were going to buy their furniture? They didn't. It was unknown, and it's important. So certainly up here. The feasibility, can we do this? I reckon they would have been pretty sure that they could, given their expertise and all the equipment they already had, but still important. And can we sell enough of the furniture? Again, important, and I would say unknown at this stage. It's untested. So let's talk now about the experiments that you can do to test these assumptions. And we're going to look now at the test and learn cards. And what these are really great for is just putting into clear and succinct words the hypothesis that we're going to test, how we're going to test it and measure it, and how we'll know that we're right. So let's start with to test this first one here, the desirability assumption. We believe that people will buy our furniture. And to verify that, we will sell a desk on our website and promote it via our network of people in our email database. I'm making this up as an example, but I'm guessing they probably did something like this. And we're going to measure how many people sign up to buy a desk from us for Stage Kings. And we're right if we get a conversion rate of 3% or higher, taking a pretty standard sort of conversion rate from online commerce. So you can see how this test card starts to shape how we're going to approach validating that assumption that people will buy our furniture. Now, part of the art here is to be as specific as possible. So ideally, you would narrow in on something more specific than people. You could say that remote home office workers will help narrow your focus, and that's part of the art as you go through and refine your hypotheses into something that's really testable. And then once you have a test like this that's been defined, you can then go and run that test and bring back your learnings. Then coming back to the assumptions map, as you gather evidence, hopefully this will come down to something that's more known that you can then plan for rather than needing to test. And likewise with the portfolio map, as the innovation risk decreases and the expected return increases, you're getting a reading on how you might evolve this aspect of your business model and whether it's something that's ready to bring into the exploit portfolio. So hopefully these tools have, this run through of the Stage Kings case study has given you a sense of how you can use each of these tools and apply this thinking in your context to be able to seek out new opportunities or think about how you're going to address particular challenges. And the idea is that you've got multiple, different things in play in your Explore portfolio. And, innovators, one of the great challenges of being an innovator is that you've got to be able to kill things off, conduct some experiments, and if it's not proving that you can reduce the risk or prove the expected return, then you've got to kill off some ideas and make way for new ideas. Likewise, for a existing business, you've also got to be nurturing your exploit portfolio. Over time, the death and disruption risk will naturally increase. So what do you need to do to perhaps evolve that part of your existing business to make sure that it remains profitable and that it remains, robust and not likely to be disrupted? So let's move on. I'd like you to consider doing this exercise of taking 10 minutes to map out the top 5 initiatives in your organization and ask yourself the question, how balanced is your portfolio? Do you have in your exploit part of your business a number of aspects that you're drawing revenue from? And in your explore part of your business, do you have several initiatives that you're experimenting with? So, what might you be able to do in terms of experiments to either de-risk or increase the expected return of the items that you've got in your explore portfolio? Thank you very much for sticking with us. And just to plug again, we've got the workshop next week as part of the Last Anywhere conference that I will be co-facilitating with Fred from Strategizer. If you liked what we covered today and interested in seeing how you can create an innovation ecosystem in your organization, we're going to be covering that in the workshop next week. So again, thank you. You can connect with me on any of the channels, and it'd be great to see you over on the DiUS Slack community. I'd love to hear your questions and your stories about business model innovation. So thanks, and I'll see you next time.